talking about how this film Satori came together. So I live in Germany in a spiritual community, in a satsang, international satsang and arts community, with a teacher who is called Pramananda, who actually is British. He has lived many years in India, but he actually comes from England. And so in this community we also produce books and films. But this film, Satori, was not a planned film. It just happened because suddenly something happened in this community, in the middle of the community, you can say, in the office. And what happened was that 2 years ago I had a very strong energetic opening. And when this started, somebody started filming it with an iPhone. So, and because we also produce films, they then got the idea to bring the camera. And so they filmed the whole happening. And after this, they had the idea that Pramananda, he interviewed me then for several months, I think 6 or 9 months. And they did a research and found out that actually there doesn't exist a lot of film material where an energetic opening is filmed. And Pramananda, in his years of teachings, he experienced that people have energetic openings, for example, some glimpses, which may last for only some minutes, or some hours, or some days, or some months, and that many people get very afraid, because it is an experience which is so new, and it is so different, or you feel so different than you felt before. Even if you perhaps experience it as very well, it is often experienced as something very strange. And so often people close down again, or don't talk about it at all, try to hide it even for themselves. Or sometimes also people think they have gone mad. Yeah? And or something horrible happened to them. So out of these experiences he had in these years of teaching, there was a decision that we made a film out of this. So Pramananda and the film team, they made a film which is partly shows the material of this energetic opening, and it gets explained afterwards in interviews. And we actually got a very positive feedback, and people who saw it often are very thankful for this, because they also experienced something similar. And yeah, for these reasons which I said before, they didn't trust it. And because of the lack of trust, a lot of fear came, and so it closed down again. And I didn't experience this, but I think one reason why I didn't experience this is because I live in a spiritual community. I think if I would have experienced this 10 years before, without having the support and also the background, I think I probably would have thought I had a stroke or something. And probably also the people around would have thought maybe I have a stroke or something, and probably would have brought me into hospital. So, and also afterwards, because the experience afterwards, it's like if the wires are not linked together in the head for some time, which is in a way very beautiful. It is very innocent. It's like starting from a completely new point, where you never have been before. And I can understand that if this is not happening in a context, I also would have been very frightened and thought something is wrong with me. I have to function, yeah? Because in the society there's a lot about functioning. There's nothing wrong about functioning, but to give this experience space, there is sometimes a time involved where you're not functioning, where you learn functioning in a different way, in a new way. Yes, and I think because I was in this environment, I didn't have fear or think about that something is wrong or something. But I was with a spiritual teacher where I could go to, yeah? Where I could go to and who said everything is alright, don't worry. So I trusted and didn't need to worry. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer questions.
What was the initial experience like?
What the initial experience was?
Going into it, what was it?
Yeah. I mean, first I didn't. I had an afternoon going out with Pramananda actually, and I came back in a car with him, and we went to a cafe before. So I had a lot of energy. I felt suddenly in my heart, yeah? And I thought, oh, I had 2 cappuccinos. Maybe the second cappuccino was too much. Yeah? So yeah, that was how it started really. Yeah, but it didn't stop, and I thought, my God, yeah, I really should not drink 2 coffees anymore. Yeah? It's really too much, and I completely didn't think of anything else. Yeah? Then after some time, I got a lot of energy was rising up, and I had the feeling I had this eyes, very big eyes, and I remember that I went on the toilet. I looked in the mirror, and I saw this enormous eyes. But because I had to write an important email, I went back in the office and thought, I write this email first, and then I see what this is for maybe. Yeah. So I sat on my computer and tried to write this email, and then my whole body started cramping, and I lost control over my body, I can say. Yeah. My whole body started very strongly cramping, and there were people in the office who supported me, and then they laid me down, and it was a very strong energy. It was like I didn't have any control. I didn't have any control over this energy. It's maybe a bit like giving birth, yeah? I also have given birth, and it's a bit like this, yeah? When the child comes and the contraction comes, yeah? I also experience that of having completely no energy over the process. So this was for quite some time, and I think this would have been the moment. There was a small thought came, yeah. A thought came. Oh, yeah. I think with a heart attack you have pain in your heart, yeah. So yes, and after some time it calmed down, yeah. It calmed down.
Were you aware of other people and what was going on around you at the time?
I think the most of the time, yes, not all the time, I think, and also I had experiences that I left the body, yeah. So that there was, for example, one moment where I heard laughing, yeah. I didn't know where it was in the room. There was some laughing, and at one point I was the laughing, yeah. So there were experiences where I left the body, but the most of the time I was aware, but I don't think all the time. Yeah? And also how long, I mean the whole thing was maybe 3 or 4 hours. And I couldn't have said how long it would have been. Yeah? So I was not aware of any time. Mm-hmm. No, I mean afterwards I didn't worry about anything.
But you said some people, they have this like moment where they're like, everything's really good, and then they get scared, and then they have to go and do something.
Yes. Yes, I think so. Yeah, yeah. I mean, in the recent retreat we had, there were several people, yeah, who had energetic opening, yeah, and they got very scared, yeah. They got, for example, scared of the amazing space and the emptiness which is there, yeah. Because we are so used the whole time sort of thinking about things, yeah. I have to do this, I have to do this, I don't like this, and there's always something going on, yeah. So suddenly there's nothing going on. And you feel an enormous space inside and an enormous oneness with everything. But this because it feels not familiar, yeah, and it feels also it may feel very vulnerable because of course the daily functioning of the life is also protecting often, yeah. It also has often a part of protecting vulnerability. It's a thing we know. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, yeah, don't want to say that, but it also can protect us from what's really there, yeah. And suddenly it's like you don't have any protection anymore. All this protection you developed, whatever, 30, 40, 50 years, is suddenly gone, yeah. So it leaves you somehow very open, which is beautiful, but also very sort of like, oh, yeah, very vulnerable. And then I can imagine that you rather go back in the familiar space, yeah, whatever your familiar space is.
You said it lasted 3 or 4 hours, then you kind of came out of it, or you know, you don't remember exactly how long. How did you feel the next day when you had slept and woke up?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, after 3 or 4 hours, I was in the state that with support people brought me to bed. Yeah? So they helped me, they laid me down and everything. So I must have slept, and I woke up the next morning, and then I had a job. Yeah? And I was like, I didn't know, should I go, should I not go? It was very, then I thought, why not, yeah? I just try. I went in the car, I drove the car, that worked completely fine. But when I came to my job, I'm a clinic clown, working in a hospital as a clown. I couldn't really do it, it was too much, yeah. But I just run after my partner, as I was changed anyway, and as when you're a clown it's not so obvious. You're anyway a bit mad. But I couldn't really do something. So, but I could drive the car. I was surprised that this worked. But for a long time it was very one-dimensional. Yeah, I could do whatever, hang up the washing, yeah, do one thing after the other. But I was not able to do many things at the same time. Having a phone call and talking to somebody, this didn't work for a longer time. But it came all back. And it came back, that's a beautiful thing, in a way that you can say the functioning is better in a way. Yeah? Because with the structure I had before, I can see now that I always had an effort in it. Yeah, it was, I think I didn't see it so much then because it was so close to me. Yeah? It's sort of, I have to do it, and I have to make it, and I have... And this dropped somehow. So I do the same things, I'm very much in the same situations. From the outside you can say my life didn't change so much, yeah? But I perceive it very differently. And one thing is, which is very different for me, is that this doing, this effort, yeah, somehow is gone.
What about your past experiences before and after? So everyone has...
Can you speak a bit louder?
Your past experiences, like for example, before and after it happens. Everyone carries with them memories about what their past is like. You say you had a child, you had a husband, you're married. But your feeling about that particular part of your life, did it change after you had it? Did it say it didn't all the things that really mattered to you, were upsetting to you before, which made you feel very angry or, you know, a strong emotion, did that change afterwards?
I mean, where I can see it best, I think it's the example of my daughter, yeah? Because I think my strongest identification has been being a mother, yeah? Being a mother and my daughter. Yeah? So I can see that there is a difference, and she also experiences it differently. Yeah? And there are still sometimes hooks coming. Yeah? They are still coming, but I can see them. It's not that they are completely gone. Yeah? It's not that they are completely gone, but it's much easier for me to see them. Yeah? That it's only there because I think it's my daughter.
There's some things really matter to you in life, and then as you get older, those things which mattered to you before don't really matter at all. And sometimes with experiences like this, all the things which really, really mattered just drop away, slake away, and just what's really important is now and this moment and living. Is that what you experienced?
Yeah, I think that's what I meant with this effort, yeah? Because this effort is there because somehow it matters. Yeah? It is important. Yeah? Maybe it makes me important, yeah? Maybe I'm in fear that everything will fall apart if I don't do it. Yeah? This is something where I would say somehow it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah? And it's not in the head that I think differently about it. Yeah? It's not that I suddenly think, oh yeah, this. It's really because it's so close before. Yeah, it's so close. It's not a thought. Yeah. Yeah, I think I understand what you mean.
Do you recommend?
What?
What practices or techniques could you recommend to try and achieve Satori, if you can?
I mean, if I would say one thing, I would say I find it enormously supportive being with a teacher. Yeah, I mean, I find this is a very it brings you in a very strong energy. It brings you in a very strong energy if you're really for a longer time with a teacher. I think if I would recommend anything, I would recommend being a longer time with a teacher. Because this is something, I mean, the whole thing is an energetical thing. And being with a teacher, I find, is a very strong, energetical things are happening, and it's a thing you can't control from your head. You can't control from your head being with a teacher what will happen. So you have to surrender. And also if you come to moments where it's very difficult, when you stay then. Yeah? And from my own experience and what I can see from people who come to the house, people who stay in the house, I can see the most happens with people who are really for a longer time with a teacher. I mean, what I meant was that people talked about it, but also on this retreat it actually was also that people, I don't know, I think one thing is definitely that the energy on retreats, and on this retreat maybe particularly, was very strong. Yeah? Then I think there is probably also a receptiveness, you say it like this? A receptiveness from people who are more open to these energies. But I mean, the nice thing about having a glimpse, yeah, when these energetic things happen, is that you know how it can be. Yeah, it gives you a glimpse in what's possible. It brings you out of your normal daily thing. Yeah? But the work is to embody this, to live this in daily life. Yeah? I mean, it's very nice to have a glimpse. Yeah? For 2 seconds it's nice, for 2 hours, 2 days, or but I think the main thing is then living this in daily life. Yeah? Because, I mean, there's sometimes a misunderstanding. People have a glimpse and then they want this experience again because it's so nice. And they try, I mean, you can, I think, probably try things to get energetic experiences. Yeah? I'm sure you can make wild breathing techniques or whatever to make the chance bigger. Yeah? But it doesn't help really. It doesn't help when you have experience after experience. The thing is you have to embody it, you have to live it. Yeah? And I think for this, inner work is needed. Yeah? I think for this, it doesn't happen from here to there. I don't think for the most people. Yeah? I think you also need to do the work. Like in the Indian tradition, they talk always about this diamond, which has dust on it. So you have to deal with the dust, and I think when you have not so much dust left on your diamond, then it's much more dense. And I mean, you never know if it stays or not. Okay? I mean, how can you know? How can you know this? But I think this inner work is very, very important. And for this inner work, my experience is a teacher is very helpful for this, because he helps you with this inner work.